Firstly, the opportunity size with regards to where government modernization initiatives go, this is one of the reasons why we need to talk to a defense company right now. Secondly, if you talk about the order book, that is very strong with regards to defense companies. So the categoric advantage over here now comes in is if the execution is strong, and secondly, the new orders that could be coming in their pipeline as well. And on number three, the margin profile. How sustainable is the margin profile going to be for a Paras defense, taking into consideration the trajectory so far and what do the upcoming fiscals look like? So these are three things that we are looking at, Anushi, so far.
Right, Neeraj, just to add to that, it's the export opportunity also, which is quite interesting to look at, considering that we already have this 50,000 crore target in place for FY29 as well. This is what the government view is. And also, currently, if you look at Paras Defense, their contribution right now is less than 10%. So with this new JVs forming, with their focus now in the other areas like drones, anti-drones as well, where that opportunity lies is something also that we should be looking forward. Now, other than that, overall, if you look at the defense companies' outlook, that remains healthier because of what's happening in terms of the government side or in terms of export side. We also need to understand if there are some challenges that still persist over there, what are the kind of improvements that are needed, how could that lead to better execution and visibility for the business as well as we move forward.
Absolutely, a lots to talk about,
Yeah.
but let's quickly understand what the company does and what Paras Defense is all about. To start off with, firstly, it offers products and solutions for defense as well as the space segment. Secondly, the company is actually engaged in defense electronics, defense and space optics as well as engineering. And it's the only Indian company which is making infrared optics in large quantities. So this is what the company does so far. But let's quickly also understand the revenue mix of Paras Defense across the two segments that we're talking about. Optics, again, if you talk about optics and optronic systems, around 51% of the revenues coming from there. And if we talk about defense engineering as well, around 49% of the company's revenues come in from defense engineering. So that's with regards to where the revenue mix goes. But I think, Anushi, understanding the key products also becomes absolutely important because currently when you talk about defense, everyone thinks about missiles, guns, right, ammunitions, all of that, right? But there is a lot more to that from here on. So let's understand Paras Defense's, key product mix.
If you talk about the key products that we are looking at for, Paras Defense, it includes something like the type of submarine periscopes. Now, this is an interesting area to look at considering what's happening with the shipbuilding sector in general. There's like 1 lakh crore of opportunities or also in the next 1 to 1.5 year period itself. With some of these key players in the field involved. So, just for these extra submarines, like 6 or odd, so coming in picture, what could this mean for Paras Defense is something that is interesting to watch out for. Other than that, the company is also involved in areas like hyperspectral cameras for the defense and space side that we are looking at. So aerospace is also one big segment that the company is eyeing on. Electromagnetic protection solutions, auto defense systems are also some of the other areas that we are seeing. Now where does these products are involved in? If you are looking at, it's involved in areas like rockets and missiles, space and space research as well. Along with that, we are looking at their applications in naval systems as well, as we've already outlined about the submarine periscopes as well. And there's also land and armored vehicles. It's across Navy, Army that we are seeing this picture playing out for the business as well. Other than that, electronic warfare and surveillance related is also another area that the company is targeting on. But other than that, if you are looking at the subsidiaries also, now the company's focus is also increasing towards the drone side of the business and even the anti-drone systems side. In fact, the company is also eyeing a number one position here in the next, medium term outlook. If you are outlining that, and electro-optical and infrared for avionic platforms is something also that the company's business is involved in. So here, that's the perspective that we are looking at. And considering all of these scenarios that we are seeing, the order book is also healthier if you are seeing just the latest FY25 data.
Absolutely, you're talking of order book which stands at nearly around 928 odd crores, and this is what Aloshi is alluding to if we talk about FY25, and that implies to a book to bill of almost around 2.5 times. In fact, the last 2 years their book to bill has remained steady at around 2.5 times, though the order book has jumped substantially from 630 odd crores It's moved up to almost 928 odd crores. In the previous 2 years, it's remained in that range of almost 300 to 392 odd crores if you have to look at FY22 and FY23. Now, if you talk about the order book position, the key contributors to this order book of around 928 odd crores comes in from periscopes, which is almost at around 120 odd crores. Your control systems contributes around 300 odd crores. Your tank electronics is around 100 odd crores, and your laser systems is almost 120 odd crores. Now, just to be noted that the order book is largely domestic. International orders is less than 10% in terms of the overall order book. So the opportunity that Paras Defense probably could be sitting on as well in terms of the international business, this is something that we need to check with the management as well. So that's with regards to where the order book goes.
Right, so that is in terms of order book picture that we are looking at. But with this kind of orders that we are seeing in place, the company is also eyeing a number one position in several of these parameters that we are looking at. It pertains to optical systems as well. Just note a couple of months back we had outlined that the company has heavy investments in place as well for these optical system over here. So laser-based air defense is another area that we should be watching out for. Anti-drones is one area that the company is also expanding in it. Also, the other players also includes the likes of Ida Forge also in this particular space that we are looking at. Electromagnetics is also something that we should be watching out for. So it's the overall order book picture that we should be seeing going forward, considering that it's high order inflows is something that can be expected over FY26, FY27 period for the business. So here, that's the overall outlook that we are seeing on the Paras Defense.
Absolutely. Now with this, let's understand what are the rating parameters that one should be watching out for on a Know Your Company. To start off with, firstly, we'll be looking at the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and the return ratios. After that, the other four parameters that we will be considering is shareholding, street credentials, outlook, and valuation. Sorry, the name of the company is incorrect on this. It says Supriya Life Science, but we're talking about Paras Defense when it comes to Know Your Company. So that is something which needs to be corrected as well. But let's also understand from the income statement. Now, if you talk about the income statement of Paras Defense, what they've said is, what's interesting is that the company actually aims to achieve 40% revenue growth in FY26. That's the number that they're quoting. Now, if you have to talk about the revenue and the 3-year CAGR as well, that's the compounded growth. From a 254 odd crores in FY24, it actually did see a good growth, came up to around 365 odd crores, and they're looking at a CAGR of around 26%. Likewise, if you see in terms of where the EBITDA is concerned as well, from a 51.1 crore, it's actually jumped to 97 crores, which is nearly doubled in terms of the EBITDA in the last 2 years. And in terms of profitability as well, it has actually doubled. So the CAGR growth, if you have to see on these three parameters, it's ranged between 23% to 31% respectively. So that is something that we need to note. And on the back of it, we've given it a thumbs up so far.
Okay, in terms of just seeing the Q1 performance also, now they've recorded about 12% of a growth in this quarter itself. Margin trajectory is something that we should be seeing, considering that the company is eyeing for about a stable profitability margins going forward. Current mix stood at about 24%, net profit remaining flat in this quarter. If we talk about balance sheet, what's interesting is the company's borrowings. Now, if you look at just what has happened from FY24 to 25,